In this little video, I'm going to explain the function of the IOLab firmware and tell you how you can check what firmware you have in your device right now. So, just so we're talking the same language, there's two parts to your IOLab system. There's a thing that plugs into the computer, that's called the dongle, and there's a thing that you do the experiments with, that's called the remote. If you were to take the plastic off of these things, which you're free to do, but you don't need to, you do not need to take anything apart to reprogram these things. This is just so I can show you. On the circuit board of the remote, there's a bunch of sensors. These sensors send their data to the sensor microcontroller. That's this big square black thing in the middle. That microcontroller packs the data up, sends it over to another microcontroller that controls the radio. That radio talks to another radio which is on the dongle, so it sends the data to the dongle, which then goes to your computer. So in the system there are three separate microcontrollers. There's two that control the radio. One of them sits on the dongle, one of them sits on the remote, and then there's this other one that controls the sensors and gathers the data from the sensors. So there's three separate microcontrollers. All of them have different firmware. As of today, the end of December 2015, both of the radio microcontrollers on the dongle and on the remote are running version 1.00. That would be hexadecimal 100 for both of those. That's another way that we indicate the version. And the remote sensor microcontroller, this big guy, is running version 1.10 or hexadecimal 110. Okay, the sensor microcontroller is the one that's probably likely to change sometime in the future. It is less likely that the radio microcontrollers will change. So keep your eyes open for important changes to this firmware coming sometime, perhaps. Okay, how do you tell what firmware you have right now? So let's get out of PowerPoint. I'm running the application right here. I've already plugged in the dongle of a brand new red IOLab. I just turned on the device. You can see that the remote is paired to the dongle. To find out what the firmware revisions are, I just click on this tool icon and say About. And so now you can see it. The dongle firmware is version 100, 1.00. The RF, or the radio microcontroller on the remote is hex 100, which is 1.00 again. That's the latest version. And the sensor microcontroller is hex 110, which is version 1.10. So all of these are the latest firmware. What does it look like if I plug in an older device? Let me unplug the dongle for that one. I'm now plugging in an older blue device and turning it on. So you can see here that you have an earlier firmware revision for all three of the microcontrollers in this old blue device. And in the next video, I'll show you how you can update these.